This is a picture on my cell phone of a poster that I had bought it recently, and I gave it to one of my kids. And it's a used poster from Jimi Hendrix in the Fillmore experience. It's a very valuable poster, original, first print. And you can see on the corners, it was hung intact, like a real poster should have been. And my advice to my son here was leave it as it is. Do not restore it. Do not do anything to it. I would get it professionally framed and so it won't deteriorate, probably behind special glass, and spend a couple $100 to get it framed right. You're into the poster for nothing, and it's the poster's worth in the thousands. And there are a lot of these out there that are reproductions or later printings. And this is going to help you understand it is an original poster. And so I would not want this in my collection looking like new. I'd be wary of buying it if it looked like new. And there's a lot of things that you have to do on posters to make sure they're the right size, they have the right words on them in the right places and everything, because a lot of times the reprints aren't accurate. And there's fun stories about the printing of a paper from New York when Washington died. And nobody knew what the original newspaper was because they used that one to teach people to set type all over the East Coast. And so it got into, and it gets this mysterious with paper, where a sentence ends, on what letter, and how it runs over. And in the case of the newspaper, somebody finally found a pile of them in an attic up in a house in that town. And it had every day, every newspaper, every week. So they knew it was the right paper. So they finally had the right one to compare it to. But when you get into these posters, because of their popularity, you can still find good research sites on the web to know what to look for. But I told my son, don't spend a couple $100 to restore this poster. Spend it to get it framed right and leave it in that frame looking like it is an original Hendrix poster. So that's my advice on this one, would be to do nothing. That one would just redid the backing. Now, this is a totally different example of a poster that I've had a lot done to.
Beautiful.
And this poster was so screwed up by wherever it was stored over the years that it was fragile, it was tearing, really bad. We'll get into look at some of that. But it had a hell of a life, but it's a great poster. It's from the infamous White Star Line, which was the Titanic. This is not the Titanic, it's another ship. But it was in terrible, terrible condition. I bought it right so I could afford to put the money into it. But I have the original frame that it was in the steamship office or somewhere at home. But we can get into what's been done with this, and it was severe. You can see the edges along here. This piece, that's not a piece of paper, that's color, that was colored in by Ted when he was restoring this. That he didn't cut a piece to fit here, and then you can see the tear that ensued down here. Here's another piece here. This was torn all along here.
Wow.
And all the way over.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So he's pieced this together. And it's a rare poster, so it was acceptable to do some of this to it. If it was in this pristine a condition without these repairs, it'd be worth more. But it's still a remarkable poster, and putting it back in its old original frame is going to be really exciting. You can see down at the bottom in the water some of the repairs where it had started tearing up this way. This paper was so brittle it was just disintegrating.
Why was it printed on paper that really wasn't meant to last, it seems like?
Well, the ship was only meant to last 5 or 10 years, right?
Yeah.
But 5 years they'd be out with a new ship that would go faster. And so some of that was relevant. The condition it was stored in, or the place, is a factor. It could have been very hot, humid. And so there's things that just, at one point it becomes a piece of junk. And some that I bought from this estate, they were stained with water had gotten in them and everything. And so, but this was worth doing what I would call a restoration on.
The colors are beautiful. They're beautiful colors. But again, you're brave to buy a piece that was practically almost torn in half.
Yep.
I mean, that's a deep, deep, long rip. But the work that's done is beautiful. And the fact it's on canvas, no one knows how long it'll last, right? Frame job.
Yeah, and somebody's going to want this to hang in a very prominent place. And the fact that they're not going to be a purist in buying it, which a pure purist would say, oh my God, it's been torn there. Well, yeah, but look at what you have.